Hello and welcome to Whitman Hanson Community News, a news magazine format program produced by the staff here at WHCA. I'm Eric Dresser, WHCA's Executive Director, and here's a look at what's coming up on today's edition of WHCN. We'll take a look back at the 2019-2020 school year. We'll catch the sights and sounds from the recent peace rallies in Whitman and Hanson. And we'll catch a preview of a new program WHCA is launching, Outdoor Adventures. But first, WHCA's Carol Brewster brings us a look at the Good Life Kitchen cooking event, sponsored by the Hanson Library Foundation.
How's everybody doing today? Good? All right, good. Good to hear. I'm Chef Bernard. I work at the Good Life Kitchen. We are a cooking school and a catering operation. We were just recently highlighted in the Patriot Ledger. There's the happy guy himself. And what we do is we teach cooking classes on a regular basis, and then we do a lot of kids classes, adult classes, parent-child, couples classes, and then what we also do is, a full-service catering operation. I take my pepper here, cut the base, all right, because I'm going for a flat surface, and then I go here, 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 all right, and then I trim right around the edge. Who cuts their pepper like this? You do? Thank God. Where? All right. And they showed you how to cut it like that? Yeah, nice, huh? There's so many people that, especially when we do the kids classes, they're like, they'll say, oh, my parents, or I cook with my mom or my dad or whatever, but they don't cut the pepper like that. Typically what we do is we take the pepper, and what do? We take and we cut it in half and then rip it out, and you have seeds all over the place. You'll notice here, there's no seeds on the table. We are seedless today. So we take this here, we will put it in our roasting dish. We'll put sliced onion, garlic fresh, and then what we do is we take and we roast it off. We mashed it up with a potato masher, okay? And salt, pepper, a little oil in there, and it takes like half hour to roast these guys off till they're very tender. So that is essentially it. It's just time. You pull it out from the oven, and like I said, we just leave it right in its container, and then we just mash it up, and you'll be able to taste that in a few minutes. So egg wash, and then I take my apples, once they're all mixed up, and we put big solid bunch here, fold in the sides, fold this side in like we're almost making a burrito, and you'll see here, and then we just roll it up. And then it's going onto a cookie sheet. This is going to bake, because it's puff pastry, in a preheated 425 degree oven for about 20 minutes. So the oven has to be preheated. Always preheat your oven, okay?
Thank you.
Oh, really? Oh, cool. Did you have a good time? Oh, yeah, you told me that.
She did the breakfast and the brunch meeting.
Oh, good. So we all good? Any questions? Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. So it's goodlifekitchen.com. March is up. April is coming up, hopefully by Monday. And, just great. Thank you very much. It's nice to be here. Cheers.
Thanks, Carol. And now, Ryan Tully brings us a look at the 2019-2020 school year, using footage collected throughout the year.
This past year for students of the Whitman-Hanson Regional School District has been an unprecedented challenge. Here at WHCA, we wanted to take a look back at some of the school events that were captured by students and staff before the lockdown occurred, using our WHCA school camera kits that are provided to each school in the district. We start in August of 2019 with the facility site tour, led by Superintendent Jeff Simonak and Facilities Manager Ernie Sandland. The tour took Whitman Hanson School Committee members through each building in the district to have a look at construction projects and enhancements being made before the opening of school. Next, we go to Hanson Middle School for their annual turkey trot in November of 2019.
Good morning, Hanson Middle School. Today we are in the library. Me and Derek are waiting to go film this year's turkey trot.
Indian Head Elementary students in Hanson had an assembly before Veterans Day weekend to show their support to the men and women who have served our country.
Sergeant Cabral. Specialist Callahan.
The Navy protects our seas.
Duval Elementary School in Whitman held their annual basket auction at the Whitman VFW to raise money for their school. Now let's listen to some samples of the 3 district elementary schools' annual holiday concerts.
This is called Snowman. Where to go?
Snowman, snowman, where'd you go? You were just here in the snow. I look high, I look low. Snowman, snowman, where'd you go?
And our last song is called Better Bundle Up. We have worked very hard with this song.
The snow is falling and it's getting cold. Better bundle up, bundle up. The frost is nipping at the end of my nose. Better bundle up, bundle up. And how the reindeer loved it as they shouted out with glee, yippee! Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll look down with his story.
Back at Hanson Middle School, students hold mock trials to learn about historical events such as the state of Montana versus Joseph Balmer and the Boston Massacre.
He will hire a man that mangled his hand and give him money for work. Thank you.
Prosecution, do you wish to cross-examine?
In early February of 2020, Conley Elementary School in Whitman held their 100th day of school celebration with different events and activities for the students. All 3 elementary schools had their annual fun runs to raise money for their schools. Hanson Middle School students participated in a school-wide action-packed volleyball tournament that lasted almost a week. On Valentine's Day 2020, Conley School students and staff showed their love for their fellow classmates by standing outside having a red carpet event as students entered from the buses into the school. Here at Whitman Hanson Community Access, we are proud of the partnerships we have with the school district. And in the future, we hope to continue sharing with the community these fun and interesting events happening throughout schools in Whitman and Hanson. I'm Ryan Tully reporting for Whitman Hanson Community News. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. In this next segment, we'll cover a recent peace rally and protest held in Whitman during the month of July. WHCA's Paul Watson has more on this event.
On Sunday, July 7th, several people organized a protest rally here at Memorial Field in Whitman because a black man died while being arrested by some police officers in Minneapolis who have since been charged for using excessive force.
I was enraged pretty much right off the bat, saying, this guy should have been better trained not to do what he was doing. So, in Whitman we are. So, but unfortunately, what happens, across the country obviously affects people here as well. So.
Organizer Morgan Cairns explains why they decided to hold a protest rally here.
We organized it after we had put up some signs around town that the community had taken down, and we were rather frustrated about it. We felt like it was important to do it here because it is such a white community and try to amplify black voices today.
The program for the afternoon called for speeches, followed by a protest march, followed by a vigil, more speeches and discussions. Organizer Shannon Murphy led off the speech portion of the program with some thoughts of her own.
Although racism is our present reality, it does not have to be. We can make a change. In fact, we demand change. I am not standing up here saying I understand the daily challenges people of color face. I am standing here saying I support you. We support you, and we demand change now.
And so if you're angry, which I hope you are, I pray that your anger does not last just till the end of the day, or to the end of the week, or till when this is no longer trending on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or wherever you get your news. This anger must be a sustaining fire that burns in you, that isn't about just showing up at your baseball field in your town, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing, but is about going to your school board, to your town meetings. It's about showing up in your places of employment where you work, to speak to people who make policies so they can be changed.
In high school, on my way back from lunch, a kid would yell racial slurs to me in the hallway. And I would tell the principal, and nothing would happen. Later on that year, that kid got awarded for his kindness. And then just imagine how much that made me feel. Someone who taunted me for my race, someone who made me feel like I wasn't wanted. That's supposed to be the example of kindness in our community. This isn't just a problem in Minnesota. This isn't just a problem in Roxbury and Dorchester. This isn't just a problem in Brockton. This is a problem here too. We have to start here. We have to raise our children here so that they'll treat everyone like they matter. So they'll make everyone feel like they're welcome here.
I got a lot of the things that a lot of my friends would write off as jokes, right? A lot of like, oh, you're like the whitest black kid I ever met, or oh, you're going to like that. We're going to that convenience store. You want to steal us something? Just jokes like that. They thought they were being funny, and I mean, I get it, right? They think they're being funny, and they're not. People would say the N-word to me, and then they'd be like, oh, I'm just kidding. Like, what do you mean you're kidding? It doesn't work like that. You can't just say a racial slur or say racial things and then hide behind the cloak of I'm making a joke. As I've gotten older, I've learned that you can't be silent on these issues. These kind of conversations are important, and this isn't something that we can ignore anymore.
Town officials Justin Evans and Frank Lynham gave us their thoughts on attending this rally.
It was really sobering to hear the speakers, especially the two that went to Whitman Hanson, because I graduated a few years before each of them, and remind me of some of the things that I didn't notice at the time, but with very few students of color, there were microaggressions. There were things that, jokes that would be made. It's really sobering, and I'm glad that I came out to listen to it. I think this is an important time for leaders to listen. It's an important time for everyone just to self-reflect and and see what we can do going forward.
It's an occasion for people to speak out against racism, against the insidious behavior that people sometimes show toward people of different colors and different nationalities. We're all one people, and we need to eradicate racism from our lives. It has no place.
The march portion took an unexpected turn when the participants took to the street and went up to and through Town Park. Chief of Police Timothy Hanlon gave us a recap of the day from the police department's perspective.
The original thought was it was going to happen on a Friday evening in the town park, which really didn't give us much time as a department to prepare for it. We usually like to be a little bit more prepared. We didn't want any of the messages that were sent to be detracted by things we had just seen happen in Boston and more closely Brockton. We sat down with the organizers and they were very comfortable with changing the date from that Friday to Sunday afternoon, moving the location to Memorial Field. Once they started, it was completely peaceful. They did do another march that walked across the street through the town park and came back. That was not planned, but we accommodated them. And a lot of the protesters, when they passed by, were thanking us. So that was good to hear. You know, our message is the same pretty much as their message. No one wants to see anything like that happen in law enforcement, outside of law enforcement, anytime. But unfortunately, what happens, you know, across the country obviously affects people here as well. So I appreciate them for doing the organized peaceful protest and the way it turned out.
This peaceful protest was attended by 100+ people and had a profound effect on many here in Whitman. For Whitman Hanson Community News, I'm Paul Watson.
Thanks, Paul. Hanson, too, held a peace rally in the month of July. WHCA's Carol Brewster brings us the sights and sounds from this important event.
I, along with a couple other women, decided that we needed to do something with all that's happening in the country, that we needed to do something here in Hanson. Hanson's a quiet town. There are things here I think that people just don't talk about in terms of racism and bias, and we felt that it was time that we brought it to people's attention and that we gave people a platform to continue having conversations and to be able to know that there are other people that they can talk to about the racism in Hanson and how it's affected them, how it's affected their children, and how do we move forward. Past couple of weeks have just been horrendous. It's just every day it's gotten to the point where I don't want to watch TV, I don't want to look on Facebook, because it's just one more thing on top. And I think when I saw the video of Mr. Floyd, that was it. That was a straw that broke the camel's back. I just can't do it anymore. I have to do something. I went back and forth debating whether or not I wanted to speak, and I wanted to tell people the things I had experienced growing up here in Hanson, but I didn't feel that I needed to bring up the things that happened to me were well in the past. I didn't want it to seem as if the people that are here now would allow that to happen, but I will make sure that people know what happened to me when I went to school in Hanson, a couple of incidents, and that, the remembering that was all triggered by me watching that video. It just triggered thoughts, things that I hadn't thought about for a long time, and different things that had happened to me. And it just brought up a couple of really bad memories around school. I didn't want people, again, to think that was now, but I know that there are other people that have kids in the system now, and their kids aren't being treated any better than I was 50 years ago. These are a lot of people I'd never seen before, don't know, will know them now, will continue to have conversations with them, and in the future possibly plan more events where we can get together and share information so that we can educate each other. This event was meant to start a conversation. It's a conversation that we want to continue. I want people to ask me questions. I want to be able to answer their questions and tell them from my perspective what I think has happened and what happens here in Hanson. I think Hanson's a nice, quiet town, but it's not any different from any other town, and you have the same issues. And maybe I could educate them so they can see the implicit bias and the things that happens. I've begun to look at information and resources and considering talking to the library about setting something up so that people can educate themselves and know where the resources are so that they can better understand what happens and why.
Though many of the laws are no longer in place, the legacies of those laws are still with us. Redlining in real estate segregated communities, highways cut through cities, decimated communities, and increased pollution and the health outcomes. Black people today are dying of COVID at twice the rate of whites, and that is one of the legacies of racism, of systemic racism.
Some nice conversations with Arlene and Mary Ann. I realized, you know, I do have something to at least get out to everybody that's here, in that the Hanson police will work with you. We want to hear you. If we're doing something you don't like or you think is wrong, please tell us. If we don't discuss it, all we're going to have is conflict, and we're never going to solve anything. It's very important that you give us feedback and vice versa. And I think if everybody could just take a little bit of time and listen, I think we can get a lot further in this country.
We get all lives matter because all men are created equal, right? But I ask you, have we truly realized that, or is that something you need to say to yourself to make you feel better? It's been said that the first step to any recovery is to get yourself out of denial. That may be the hardest thing we need to go through before we can come to a place of healing. But let's start today. Join us and don't be complicit. Tell your neighbors and your kids that you are willing to have those difficult conversations because we know we can do better. Let's do better, Hanson. Black Lives Matter. Thank you, allies. Black Lives Matter!
Thanks, Carol. And finally, in our last segment, we bring you a glimpse into a new program being produced by WHCA, entitled Outdoor Adventures. This new program goes along with WHCA's new GoPro cameras that can be checked out by WHCA volunteers. The concept of this program is to document and share some of the areas in and around Whitman and Hanson that people can visit even during COVID-19. The first few installments of this program come from WHCA staff members, and they cover places like Ames Knoll Park in Abington, bicycling on the Cape Cod Rail Trail, Great Esker Park in Weymouth, Massasoit State Park in Taunton, the Cape Cod Canal and Scusset Beach. If you would like to document a place that you have or will soon be visiting, reach out to WHCA about becoming a volunteer. It's free and it's a lot of fun. But now, let's have a quick look into a piece being produced by WHCA's Carol Brewster, highlighting Lake Sabbatia in Taunton, Massachusetts.
Hi, I'm Carol Brewster, staff producer at Whitman Hanson Community Access. This summer, because of COVID-19, we decided to highlight some outdoor adventures in our area. I'm lucky enough to live on Lake Sabbatia in Taunton. Come with me while I take you on a tour of the lake. Lake Sabbatia, sometimes known as Scaddings Pond, is a 248-acre great pond in Taunton, Mass. It is the largest lake in the city of Taunton and the most popularly used. Lake Sabbatia is used for a variety of recreational activities, such as boating, swimming, fishing, and ice fishing. There is a public boat ramp off Bay Street into the lake and near Watson State Pond. Lake Sabbatia and Watson Pond are located within the boundary of the state-designated area of critical environmental concern, the Canoe River Aquifer. Come join us in the exploration of our local areas in WHCA's new Outdoor Adventures.
Thanks, Carol, and thanks to all of you, our viewers, for tuning in to another episode of WHCN. If you have an idea that you'd like to see featured on WHCN, you can reach out to news@whca.tv or give us a call at 781-447-4175. From all of us here at Whitman Hanson Community Access, thanks for watching.